So on today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about a very interesting topic. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about stakeholders in project management. I'm going to be relating this particular topic with interior design projects. But it's actually very relatable in any kind of project, because stakeholders are people you're going to deal with in any kind of project. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, so long as you handle projects, you're going to be dealing with stakeholders. So stay tuned till the end of it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, my name is Olaomi Audu, and on this channel I talk about interior design, I talk about project management, I share tips, I share tricks, very useful content, things that would be of benefit to you. So if this is the kind of content that you like, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any time I put up a content. And if you have watched me before and you're here again, I just want to say thank you so much for watching me. I appreciate you. All right, so who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are people that have a vested interest in your project. And when I mean vested interest, I mean people that are affected, one way or the other by your project, or people who influence or affect your projects. People that have a stake in your projects, more or less. I'm using the word stake again, but that's it really. People that are crucial to your projects. They play a role, one way or the other in your project. Identifying who your stakeholders are is very important in a successful project. If you want your project to be successful, one of the first things you have to do is to identify who the key or who the stakeholders are in your project. Now, there could be so many of them, and they come at various levels of intensity or gravity in your project. So there are key stakeholders, and there are some that of course are not as highly key. Forgive my choice of words, but there are some that are not as crucial as some others. Okay, so of course understanding who the crucial or the key stakeholders are is important, and categorizing them in that order too would also help you, especially when you're making decisions around the project. Okay, so for an interior design project, I will just outline some of the key stakeholders that you would find in such kind of projects. Number one would be your client. For me, I would say that this is about the key stakeholder. Now I'm going to ask a question, and I would like you guys to respond to this question at the end of this video. Just drop a comment on on the answer to the question. Now my question is, who is the boss? At the end of the video, you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm asking this question because I'm going to be talking about different kinds of stakeholders and the weights that they carry. I want you to think about it, in projects, how much influence, or who is the boss? That's the word. Who is the boss at the end of the day in your project in determining the success or the failure of your project? Okay, so who is the boss? All right, so back to identifying stakeholders, right? So I said that there are different stakeholders, and for me, I would say the key stakeholder, interior design projects will be your clients, and I have placed them as the key stakeholder because they are the ones that have the vision, right? They are the ones that are going to be funding the project. Okay, so they're the ones that, permit me to use the word, more or less initiates the project, because they're the ones that have engaged your service and said, okay, this is what I want done and this is how I want it done, and then that is why you have now started the project. So for me, I would probably say they're primary, but like I said, think through it and then decide at the end of the day who exactly is the boss, and then give me your answer at the comments section below. All right, so yes, your client is a very important stakeholder, so you need to understand their requirements very critically, and of course understand what they want so that you're able to give them what they want at the end of the day, right? So that everybody's happy and fine. Another very important stakeholder would be your team members, your colleagues. If you're probably working under some form of management, your senior management, because of course they also make decisions as regards the kind of projects you can handle if you're working for like an organization or something. Yeah, so they are also very important and key. So understanding and communicating with them effectively will determine success or failure of your projects. Another very important stakeholder you'll find in an interior design project would be your suppliers. Yeah, because you're certainly going to have to buy or purchase things for your project. If it's an interior design project, you're probably going to be buying furniture, fittings, different sort of stuff from suppliers, so you're going to be dealing with them. So of course, understanding how to manage them and working with them effectively will determine the quality of stuff you will get from them, and of course the timing. Yeah, that's another very important thing when it comes to projects, right? So managing them properly will go a long way in determining the success of your project. So identifying them as stakeholders is very important. And then another set of stakeholders that you also have to identify are your contractors. Now, when I'm referring to contractors in interior design, I'm talking about probably the builders, the installers, people that are probably installing, like the electrician. Dealing with them is very important, because some things that you might assume that, oh, okay, they know, and you just, okay, they should just go ahead and do it. You'll be surprised at the end of the day that they do not do it the way you expected it to be done. So learning how to manage them, communicate with them, will play a very important role in how successful your project will turn out to be. Let me just share like a very short story, an experience that I had recently. I needed some lights installed, and I engaged the services of this electrician, and I got carried away with other work, and I assumed he knows how to set it up and he'll do his thing. I came up and he had set up the lights, and the wraps were still on the fittings, on the light fittings. And I was like, imagine my shock. Or you would assume that, okay, before you fix up those light fittings, you should take off the wrappings, right? How will you just install the lights with the wrappings on? And this is a professional electrician. Why did I share that story? You would just assume that, oh, they know that they're supposed to do this. So if you're not there to actively monitor, you should be communicating, very, very actively. So yeah, managing your contractors is an understanding or identifying your contractors as stakeholders in your business, on your project, is very important. And of course, managing them would determine, how successful your project would be. Well, needless to say that I took off the wrapping myself, okay, because I just said, what, there's no point even trying to get him to do it. I just did it myself. I, went up and took it off, and then for subsequent fittings, I had to guide him and, okay, please, before you set it up, ensure you take out all the wrappings, all the stick-ons and all that, and then, yeah, fix it up. So yeah, and another set of stakeholders that you would find in an interior design project will probably be the end users. So for instance, you're designing a space for maybe a restaurant for your clients. Of course, you're going to have customers coming to use that restaurant. So thinking about, how functional the space will be for them when they come in, the space planning and all that, you're going to have to be conscious and, yeah, think about the end users at the end of the day. And I know that that's also relatable to some other kind of projects, like IT projects, where of course you're delivering like maybe applications that end users are going to be using. You're thinking about them, and they become like stakeholders in that project. So these are some of the stakeholders that I have identified in an interior design project. Of course, there are more. Okay, so you could do your research, but it's always important that once you start up with the project, that you seek to identify, who the stakeholders are, and start working out how to manage those stakeholders. Yeah, some of the things, and yeah, that will bring me to the next stage, really. How do you manage stakeholders, really? How do you manage them? How do you manage them to ensure that your project doesn't mess up at the end of the day, that your project, is successful and everybody's happy at the end of the day? Number one is communication. In fact, I cannot emphasize communication. My previous video, I talked about effective communication in project management. See, if you have not watched that video, go and watch it. It's very important you watch it. Yes, if you are really interested in having successful projects, you need to be on top of your game when it comes to communication. And when I say communication, I don't mean you just passing across information, but ensuring that the information you're passing across is being understood, and you're also understanding, what the other person is saying. Yeah. So it's a two-way thing. Okay. So if you really want to do well in projects, you have to up your communication game. If you want to manage your stakeholders really well, you have to provide regular updates. So this might mean having like probably frequent meetings, updating, especially if there are changes, always let your clients know, always let whoever stakeholder is affected by whatever changes or updates that is taking place, always update them regularly. See, I would say that when you're communicating, don't just rely on verbal communication. Well, this is my personal advice. I would say also ensure that you have like written communication, documentation in place. See, documentation can save you. It can save you so much. So always ensure that your stuff is documented. Even if you have had the conversation, over the phone or via a meeting, Zoom meeting, or Google Meet or anything, still go back and put it in writing. Just say, okay, sequel to our conversation, we agreed that we're going to change the furniture in the living area to this. So I just want to be sure that this is what you are okay with, and it's good you have the confirmation from the other party that you're fine with it. And then of course that everything is clear, you're covered, and you can proceed. Okay, so the same way, if you're dealing with your contractors, you're dealing with your team members, you're dealing with senior management, ensure that you have your documentation in place. It would save you at the end of the day. It could save you at the end of the day. All right, and another thing about managing stakeholders is setting expectations. It's still interwoven, of course, with the whole communication thing, but being very specific about your expectations. So if, for instance, you're engaging a supplier or even a contractor, just let them know, what you expect, the quality you expect, the quantity you expect, the time frame in which you're expecting it, the things that are surrounding your project. Just ensure that everybody has like a clear picture, even the clients too, they know what to expect. So even if you're going to give like a pictorial design, whatever it is, just let them know that, okay, this is it, so that at the end of the day, nobody is disappointed. I wasn't carried along, I wasn't told that this is how it would turn out. As much as possible, just be as plain and transparent. Everybody know how it's going to be, or what the process will be, and what the outcome will be at the end of the day. All right, another thing in managing your clients is by being proactive. Yes, by try to foresee issues that might come up. Okay, this is another part of project management, and that is risk management. I'm going to be talking about it in another video. Okay, but as a project manager, you have to be proactive. You have to be able to have, permit me to say, the sixth sense. You should be able to look into possibilities. Okay, what could go wrong? How can I mitigate things happening that would affect this project? What can I put in place to ensure that everything goes well in my project? Always looking out, to ensure that there are no impediments, and to ensure that there are no things that could try to prevent your project from being successful. So you need to be proactive about it, and of course, being proactive about it also means that you're managing your stakeholders effectively, carrying them along. And the other parts it's very related to communication, is active listening. I've mentioned it before, but I'm still going to say it again because it's very important. Ensure that you are listening. Okay, so if your client is sharing something with you, don't just listen or hear what you want to hear. Be very sensitive to pick out the information they're trying to pass across. Even if it's the contractors or the suppliers, please be sensitive to hear the information that is being passed across. This is the time that you should be checking your mails to ensure you don't miss anything. You should of course be keeping in touch, and of course the same thing with your contractors too. If they have told you that, oh, okay, this fitting, I don't think this fitting will fit in here well because it might be a hazard, don't just assume that, oh, okay, no, I understand what he's saying, and just be sensitive enough to listen and understand what the person is trying to say, or the information, because it could just be a lifesaver, just being attentive enough to catch what the person is saying. So if it's something that's not going to work, it's not going to work, or if at all you insist that it's going, that, okay, this is a potential issue, so you know how to address it, how to put things in place to ensure that it doesn't crystallize to become like a very serious issue at the end of the day. So active listening is super key. One thing that you would also be doing as a project manager in managing stakeholders is, at some point you might have to act like a mediator, resolving conflicts and ensuring that there's a smooth flow, of the process. So yes, that's another management skill that you're going to involve when you're dealing with stakeholders, being able to resolve conflicts, being able to intervene, not being partial, ensuring that you're not taking sides, but you're being fair, and you're not being judgmental, but of course you're applying, the right skills and ensuring that issues are resolved promptly. Yeah, not just pushing them under the carpet, because if they are not, it could just have a very negative impact on your project. It could just slow down your project, and at the end of the day even cause your project to flop. So it's very important that you identify issues as they come up, and then of course mediate and ensure that issues are resolved before they become too serious that they start affecting the project. So stakeholder management is so very important, it's so very key. And managing people, see, in fact, that's even a skill I feel everybody should have, not just even project managers, because you deal with people every day. You need people one way or the other, so it's very good you learn how to manage people. I think you'll live an easier and a sweeter life if you know how to understand people, how to relate to people, deal with people. I think life will just be easier and sweeter, particularly in projects. Okay, for a smooth flow, you want your workflow to go really smooth, easy. It's just beneficial that you know who your stakeholders are and you're able to manage them effectively. At the end of the day, you're going to have a very motivated team. You're going to have a very happy client. Why? Because you're managing them, you're carrying them along. They're happy with the communication. They're happy with the fact that on top of it, you're interested in listening to them. You're interested in what they have to say. You're interested in their feelings. You're not insensitive. You're conscious of them. You're conscious of your supplies. You're dealing with people really politely, nicely, and carrying everybody along, communicating with them. At the end of the day, certainly your project is going to be, because they will not just be doing it now because it's their job, but because they have bought into your personality. They would not want to disappoint you, and they want to deliver on your project. So treating people nicely, carrying them and manage them well, will eventually result in a win, not just for them but for you and for the whole project as a whole. So with that, we have come to the end of today's video. I said earlier on that I asked the question actually earlier, and I said drop your comments in the comment section below on who you really think the boss is. Now, why I asked this question is because I know that the client pays the money, right, for the projects. But if your suppliers don't supply the items, would you be able to successfully carry out your project? So would they be the boss? If, for instance, your contractors come and they mess up the work, or they even refuse to show up, and you have a time frame of, let's say, 1 week to finish designing the space, and they don't show up day 1, day 2, day 3 day 5 to the end of the project, at the end of the day your project is in flop. Are they the boss? Your team members or your team or your colleagues or senior management, if they refuse to give you the support that you need to carry out the work or the project, will the project be successful? So really, when you look at all the stakeholders that I have listed, they are all very important in ensuring that your project is successful. So who exactly is the boss? Are they all the boss? Are they all the bosses? Okay, so yeah, that's the question. So go ahead and just drop your thoughts in the comment section, and yeah, we'll take it from there. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have learned a thing or two. Please stay tuned to my channel so that you can get some more quality stuff as they come up. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it, if you've enjoyed it, if you have learned a thing or two. It really helps me. It helps my video. It helps my channel when you do this. And please go ahead and like it, share, and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.